And we are officially live. Hello to all my BC WrestlePod nerds out there. And welcome to another rendition of the Six Sided Scholars, your TNA pay per view review show here at BC WrestlePod. Of course, my name is Mikey El Jefe of BC WrestlePod. And right now it's just me. And hopefully, my other co host for tonight, Papa Oso, will be here shortly. We're just working out some kinks and some stuff. Winter is getting crazy out here, so hopefully he'll be able to pop in. But if not, I'm okay with running it down. And you might be asking, what exactly are we running down? Well, we are here to review the final pay-per-view of the TNA 2025 calendar year, which is TNA's Final Resolution, which took place last Friday, December 5th. And we are here to go, talk about all the things that went down in El Paso, Texas. So before I get into it, though, a little bit of the announcements. First and foremost, if you like what you see here and you want to dig into the archives a little bit, well, then you can follow us on Twitch or Kick. You can subscribe to our YouTube, and feel free to do so, because at the same time, we have every post-show breakdown here on BC WrestlePod, whether it's pay-per-views, the weekly feds, the weekly promotion, stuff like that. It is a grand time. So it is really, really fun out here, and really exciting stuff. So feel free to follow us on your favorite platform. But if you're looking for something a little bit more self-contained that doesn't require you to dig through hours upon hours of videos, you can follow us on your favorite social media site at BC WrestlePod, where we do our report cards. We do all the good stuff. We do predictions. We give you previews of what's coming up on TV screens. It is fantastic, and it's really, really fun. Of course, we also have some merchandise available for you. Shop.bc at bcwrestlepodshop.fourthwall.com. Of course, we got our new holiday t-shirt. We got designs and merch for all of our review shows. And get them while they're hot, though, because come December 31st, all the current designs will be going away forever to make room for our new redesigned merch. It's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, if you feel so inclined to help us, keep the metaphorical lights on, you can donate to our little coffee bot, who will be appearing in the chats ever so often in the Twitch and the YouTubes and all the good stuff. And feel free, but no pressure. Alrighty. So with announcements out of the way, I do want to give my initial thoughts before I do all this stuff. So first and foremost, though, before I can begin this proper, let me bring in the man with the plan. He is the grand poobah of everything, and my right hand man tonight, Papa Oso. It was a rough go. It was a rough go there for a hot minute.
Yeah, and it may still be a rough go. I've got crazy. I don't know what's going on my end of the world, but
hey, you know what? Yeah, it's okay. Honestly, what is a BC WrestlePod review without some technical issues? Honestly. Anyhow. You're just like, it's gonna be one of those nights. No, just kidding.
It's just cream soda.
Ooh, that does sound tasty, not gonna lie. But alrighty, so we are here to talk about Final Resolution, which again, there was between me and Papa Oso, there were a couple. We ended up watching. Well, I watched more wrestling, but we ended up watching 2 different pay-per-views last weekend, and to the surprise of both of us, which is actually a pleasant surprise once in a while, this was the better of the 2 shows we watched. Just a little bit. There are still some things where it's just like, but there was also some things that's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Y'all know. Well, but anyways, so we do have a little bit of a pre-show to talk about. I only want to talk about the matches because we actually had matches. One announced and one unannounced. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So we're going to quickly talk about the pre-show of Final Resolution. And the first pre-show match, for some odd reason, we got Cedric Alexander versus Eric Young. I was like, okay, get everyone on the card. That's fine. I would have been more angry with this match, but I was okay with it because Cedric Alexander won.
I know.
I
That
like,
was the only
gosh.
good thing about it. The only good thing about it.
Very, very fair. Again, and the crazy thing is that I don't hate Eric Young, the wrestler. I think his in-ring skills are fun to watch, and I think he is a good wrestler. I just can't get with this character, and we're still going with it, and it's just, ugh. And then, of course, you know, which means unfortunately, by default, when you factor that in, I was like, I don't want it to be default, but I'm rooting for Cedric, and Cedric is amazing. He wins. I don't really have much to say. This was a countdown show match. I mean, didn't go for too long. It was the crowd. It was to get the crowd, you know, ready for the main card, and this was great. I had a good time. So then we had an unannounced countdown show match all of a sudden, and I was just like, we get the system coming out. So this is Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, and Moose here. I was just like, dang, remember when these guys would main event these pay-per-views? Which is not a bad thing. Everybody has, you know, everyone has to be moved around somewhere, and everyone gets a chance to be on the main card of the countdown show. I did appreciate, however, that this match was, you know, unannounced, and it's just like, hey guys, we got some new folks who, you know, are coming in to wrestle. So I'm gonna be for real. System, whatever you feel about the system, I was just like, I was rooting for them leading into Bound for Glory against Order 4, and so I was just like, you know what? I still think they need to break up, but you know what? They are less irritating than they were with me at the beginning of the year. I was like, I'm less irritated with them.
You know, I have to agree with you. I don't hate them as much as I used to.
I think turning them face was probably the best idea they had this year.
I think so, because I don't know. I don't think they worked as heels. I think they work more as face team than a heel team.
Mm-hmm. And especially right now, because we know that Mr. Johnny Dango Curtis, JDC, his retirement match is coming up at Genesis, which I'm going to briefly talk about the Thursday episode because there was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of setups. The women main eventing was great, which, you know, I'm not what am I saying? I love violence. And I was just like, the main event was just enough violence, but it didn't overstay its welcome with the dog collar match between Danny and Indy. But I'm going to talk about that at the end. But anyways, the system are in the ring. They are currently going to be looking for somebody to kind of like recruit to take over JDC spot when he retires after Genesis. And so they decide to have a match. And I'm just going to put this picture up here because they have basically an open challenge, which, you know, is answered by these three lovely gentlemen. Now, of course, because I watch way too much wrestling, I am very familiar with all three of these folks. First of all, in the red coming out, we have the Andersons, so C.W. Anderson, which is the bald man. And then, of course, we have Brock Anderson. Yes, if you are thinking the same thing, Brock is the son of Arn Anderson, wrestling legend. So Brock and CW are Andersons, but Brock is the actual son of, you know, Hall of Famer Arn Anderson. So I was just like, hey, I see you guys. Me and Adolfo see you on Major League Wrestling MLW when we do watch-alongs. Love to see y'all here. And I was like, that's right. Y'all are kind of based in Texas a little bit. But then when I tell you the bigger man in the back coming out in the bear mask, I was just like, oh my God, it's Bear Bronson. Ah! Listen, there are very few of us here at BC WrestlePod. When we started this thing 3 years ago, and we fell in love with Bear Bronson when he was in AEW, then he went back on the independent scene, and he has been on a tear. I have gotten to talk to this man, hug this man, get a picture with him, and a bunch of other BC WrestlePod hosts who have gone to independent GCW shows have also got a chance to meet this lovable human being. Also, we love him because he is a Bi-Con, which we love. Him and his wife are great, and they are, you know, here for the support of all marginalized communities. But yeah, when I saw Bear Bronson come out, I was like, ah! I fangirled. I was like, oh my God, I'm so proud of him. He's been grinding on the independents for the last bit of the year since, you know, leaving AEW. And I was like, he's in TNA. TNA, lock him down, please. I want him to be here all the time. But that's because I'm familiar with his work on the independents. Now, I will say, though, in this match, we didn't get to see too much of his moveset because it was relatively short. But listen, Bear Bronson is one of my faves. I will forever love him and forever and a day. So I'm biased. I can't really talk about the match. The match itself was fine, but I thought it was great because Bear was here. It's really nice to see somebody you've been supporting on the independents start making their way on, up to television. And I was like, be on TV more. We're going to talk about another group of people that we will see later in the show. Also, I don't care what nobody says. This intro video for the other tag team we're going to talk about that made their debut during this pay-per-view, I was like, yes, budget, give me things. And it was also really creative. Anyways, I talked enough. Papa, also, like, the match itself, and then, of course, when I sent you pictures of Bear, you're just like, hi.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was all right. I mean, it was what it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know the Andersons. I'm vaguely familiar with Bear Bronson.
Mm-hmm.
It was neat though. I'm all for the new folks coming in and doing stuff. I mean, if we're looking at keeping them, then hot diggity dang. If it's just a stunt, then I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I'm like, TNA, lock these people down. Like,
right.
If you like what you see and you think you have something with them, please sign them. Especially now going into this AMC era with money and budget. We need to expand this roster, especially depending on how many people you keep or lose based on contract negotiations. Because there are a lot of people currently in TNA whose contracts are up at the end of this month. So I'm like, y'all need to start getting re-signing people. Like,
seriously,
start figuring out. So if you're not going to re-sign certain folks, I was like, you need to, I don't want to say replace, but I was like, what in an ideal world, you would come to an agreement with a bunch of the talent, and then you also get to sign some new folks to expand the roster. And you know what? We've been seeing that with them this year, signing new women to the roster. I was like, let's sign some more men too, because the men's division also needs a little bit of a refresh and a shakeup as well. Especially because, Joe Hendry is now over in WWE and NXT, and a couple other of our main players who have been here for a little bit, their contracts are coming up. So if they don't re-sign, then we need to fill up this roster. So, but yes, very happy to see you here, Bear, and I love you and your wife. You're both lovely people. Shout out to Nomi the Bard. Nomi, we love you. But yeah, as far as the match goes, I absolutely agree with you. It was fine. It was here as the countdown, but I do love watching new people. But I agree, TNA, lock this shit down. And yes, I can curse even though it's 30 minutes because YouTube updated where we can curse within the first 7 seconds now.
Yay.
So, fuck yeah. God. No, it's kidding.
Thank God.
Thank God. 30 minutes is like... Anyways, I don't want to say it because then we get demonetized. But anywho, I was just like, 30 minutes was edging me. Don't do this to me. Anywho.
I know, right? Seriously.
Yeah, but that was the countdown. Let's get into the main show. And we kicked off the main show, wasting no time, because, again, Michael Santana is on Demon Time. And again, I can't believe I'm saying this. I still hate Charlie Dempsey's character, but this is probably one of the better matches and one of the few matches I actually really enjoyed. Hate Charlie Dempsey's character. Him as a wrestler, great. But Mike Santana was not wasting time. We didn't give him full entrance. He's like, all right, let's knock some people out. And then the fight just began. I was like, wow, they're just going into it. Hell yeah.
You know what I think it is about Charlie Dempsey? I think he needs a strong opponent.
Yes.
Like Mike Santana is like a strong opponent. And I think this is what I love about Mike Santana. Having seen him wrestle live, like in person, he really brings out the best in his partners, whoever he's fighting. And it's so cool to watch. And I think this is what's happened here, because I did not dislike Charlie Dempsey in this match. I did not. When we were talking about, it's like, Charlie Dempsey. But then when the match began, I was kind of like, wow, okay, so you're performing pretty well. And I was like, well, maybe I've noticed that. And then suddenly I was realizing, I was like, every time Charlie Dempsey wrestles like a wrestler that, like Mike Santana, whoever that may be, they really bring the best of him out, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Like his abilities start to shine, and his like his knowledge of wrestling starts to pop, and it's like, wow, okay.
I was like, you are William
enjoy it.
Regal's kid.
I really enjoy watching you now all of a sudden. And I'm like,
I was like, and I feel like that's what he needs. And I'm not saying that there's not strong opponents in NXT, but like, again, when you have and again, this is nothing against NXT because I love NXT and them kids is my kids, right? But at the same time, I was just like, Mike is an indie darling. Now he's in TNA mainstay. And I was just like, not to say that TNA is not polished, but I was just like, no. I was like, here is somebody who's been wrestling for years and you're going up against him. So I was like, you're going to need to bring your A game, Charlie. And I feel like that's what he did. Again, character-wise in NXT, we still need to work on it because it's ugh. But again, Charlie Dempsey and his matches, I tend to love when he's going up against a established, legit opponent or someone who's well-seasoned, I should say instead. Like, Mike has been in this game forever, and so it definitely showed. And I love also that Mike allows his opponent, because I was like, let's be so for real. Mike is like a 6-something Puerto Rican man. I was just like, on paper, he should beat anybody. But Mike is also very aware of the business. And he's like, no, I got to make my opponent shine too. It's got to go both ways. But yeah, this was a really fun match. Mike Santana wins. And again, he is still on demon time, because he's not going to stop until he gets his revenge on these NXT folks. And on top of that, he's coming after Franklin's behind, which I'm going to briefly touch on Franklin at the very end of this show when we get to the main event and, when I discuss the Thursday episode. But I thought this was a really great start to the main show. And I was like, okay, we're starting off pretty good. I like this match. It was pretty decent. What do we got next? Okay. I want to start off with the positives, right? I think, and I love them, and this is why I love them, though. I think this is probably the best I have seen the inspiration, since in this current run of TNA. Not gonna lie. However, that is where it stops, because this felt more like a TNA Thursday match than a pay-per-view match. Am I happy they are not on the pre-show, on the countdown? Yes. But this is not what I wanted. I'm gonna be so for real. I can't believe I'm saying this because I know Victoria is not necessarily the best wrestler. I kind of rather would have seen Namila and Victoria versus Tessa. I'm like, Tessa, are we good? Like, I feel like we're missing a couple steps, girl. I know you were out for a couple weeks, but like, everybody, there was just something off about this match, which I feel like is saying something every time we get a Knockouts tag team match this year. But I was like, something was off because there wasn't anything like super bad. But I was just like, nothing is standing out to me. And I was like, you know what? This feels like a regular Thursday match if the championships were to be defended instead of a pay-per-view.
Yeah. My thing about it was, I mean, God bless them, but the inspiration is just sort of blah.
I was like, what happened to them when they first got here? Because we were on fire for them.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's programming or what, and they just see, this is what I think sometimes, and you take it however you want, but I think when they take these like tag teams like these two ladies, the inspiration, and they make them play into the dumb blonde, it cheapens them, and it makes me kind of go, I don't, you should lose. I'm like, it's like, and I hate that because they're not bad. Because when they first hit the scene, I was like, oh, okay, these girls are pretty badass. Okay, all right. And then they suddenly switch to whatever this is they're doing. And I just see, like, the Elegance brand did it right.
Yes. And I think the thing, and I'm not saying they have to be. So, okay. So a little bit of background, right? So I've been rocking with the inspiration forever. Of course, they were known as the Iconics when they were in WWE. And, they worked as like a comedic heel tag team. They were fantastic in the ring, but they were funny, but they were also heels. They were bad guys that we cheered for. I'm not saying that they have to be heel, but I kind of want their snarky humor to come back here in TNA. And I think that's why I love them when they first, came onto the TNA scene a couple years ago, was because they were faces, but they still had that snarkiness and that snarky comedy to them. I feel like they're carbon copies of the Elegance brand. I mean, the Inspiration's been doing it longer, but I was like, we don't need like two beautiful people trope tag teams. Like, we got to diversify this tag team division.
I think they need to lean into the mean girl trope.
Yes. That's what made them iconic. No pun intended. In WWE.
But I mean, that's kind of what.
Be the funny mean girls.
And maybe that's because to me, it feels like they want to do that. I don't personally think that the performers, the wrestlers themselves, the physical part of this team, I don't think they have bought into what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that they are hesitant, and which I think now they're making more of a stereotype out of their tag team, as opposed to like being legitimate. And I think and I think that's all for the sake of trying to be funny,
right?
Because they're like, oh well, we were funny when we were the bad guys. Now we got to be funny as the good guys. And I'm just like, no, you don't really have to be. I mean, don't force comedy, because if you force comedy, it's not funny. You bring in the sass, bring in the wit. They need to be witty. That's what it is. I think, because again, I think they're playing into the dumb blonde, and Elegance brand did it great, man. Let me tell you, that was like, they were the dumb blondes, quote unquote, but they were like, we'll whoop your ass.
They were smart about how they presented it.
Yeah.
Yes, they were over the top. Yes, they were about the elegance and the,
Yeah. But I never got this.
Yeah. I was just like, it feels copy and paste, which is crazy because, again, the Inspiration has been this longer than the Elegance brand. But again, I think the Inspiration need a refresh, a new dimension for their character. And honestly, this whole Knockouts tag team division, I feel like we need to amp it up. And I'm going to keep saying this till the cows come home. I'm like, they don't need to be champions anytime soon, but let's start getting like Mila Grace and Harley Hudson into this mix, because they're great as a tag team, and they do get featured on the weekly shows from time to time. But right now, it's the Inspiration, it's Tessa and Victoria, and it's the Elegance brand, who are off doing side quests right now looking for Mr. Elegance. So I'm like, again, we have the same problem as we did earlier this year. There's really only 2 tag teams in this division. So let's throw Mila and Harley into this thing. Like, we can have 3 and maybe get 1 more. I don't know. So the Inspiration do retain their championships here. So I was just like, please, let's do better for this. I feel like this is the one division this year that has suffered the most.
Yeah,
in TNA, which is really tough, because the beginning of the year was fine, because again, we had Danny and Jody as our tag champs. And then once they got the titles taken off of them, I was just like, it kind of just went downhill.
It did.
So it's like, no, not my girls. Anywho. So here's hoping that in 2026, we can refresh this Knockouts tag team division, because these girls are great. I just need a little bit more from them. But moving on into our third match of the main card. You know what? I was entertained. I wasn't expecting anything too crazy. Also, watching Matt Cardona hit Mance with a bunch of bobbleheads of himself was fucking hilarious.
Okay, that was pretty damn funny. It's like, yeah.
This was just stupid, campy fun. I was here for it.
I agree. I thought it was fun. And it's not that it felt unnecessary, because I think it was one of those necessary kind of stupid matches that we needed, because it did kind of lighten the mood. Even though Matt Cardona gets on my everlast damn nerve.
That's fair.
but it was funny. No, the match had some really funny moments. I found myself laughing several times in this match.
And I was like, you know what? Wrestling is fun, and sometimes we just need matches to have fun. This wasn't anything too serious. There were some crazy spots, though. I was like, oh, That door did not want to break the way it was supposed to. Somebody is about to get hurt. And I was like, yeah!
Bring on the blood.
For real. I was just like, boy, is this, again, I don't really have too much to say. I was like, it was a street fight. It was fun. Steph tried to run some interference a little bit, but Matt would ultimately win the street fight. And Matthew, we're going to talk about you a little bit later, because we're going to talk about you later. Not that I'm mad at you. I was just like, damn, they're just going to beat him up for no reason on TV. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, This was camp. This was fun. I loved it.
Me too. Oh my God. Don't even get me started on this one.
Listen, we talked about this last week during the predictions. We knew that with all these NXT stars going up against TNA stars, somebody had to win. It's very, spoiler alert, it was very unfortunate that this was the one.
Yeah.
So this is the TNA International Championship match. Steve Maclin, the champ, versus NXT, Channing Stacks Lorenzo, or just now Stacks. I don't know what I'm more mad at. The fact that Maclin lost his championship after getting it back at Bound for Glory, so we're falling into the Mike Santana situation again. Or I don't know what's worse. That or the fact that Stacks wins only because Lexis King runs interference and I had to look at that god-awful beard.
Well, I knew there were going to be shenanigans. With Lex King in the ring or anywhere near the ring, that there was going to be some shenanigans. I knew that was the only way that Stacks would get this belt. And I know I went with Stacks because I was like,
somebody from NXT has to win this night.
I knew there was something going on. So I was like, he's going to watch. He's going to walk away with it. And he did. And it pissed me off. I was so mad that I was right, quote unquote. And because this is going to sound really harsh, but I don't think Stacks is worthy of the title.
No. And here's the thing, right? So we both know, because we cover it and we watch it on a weekly basis. We know that the NXT kids, their goal is to make it up to Raw or SmackDown main roster for WWE one day. And we want that for them. And not to say that the NXT championships, whether they be the main titles, the North American titles, or the tag titles, they are in no way, shape, or form less than other companies' titles. However, I don't think Stacks has done enough in NXT to warrant be like, yeah, I guess I could see him carry this TNA title for a little bit. Now, all to say, as annoyed as I was with Trick holding on to the TNA World Championship since May of this year and finally losing it months later at Bound for Glory to Mike Santana, at least Trick has done enough in his NXT career where it's like, I'm annoyed, but you know what? It makes sense. He was a North American champion. He was an NXT men's champion. Like, he has been in NXT long enough to warrant, a title run in a different company. Yes, the International Championship in TNA is technically a mid-card title, but even then, I don't think Stacks has done enough to earn a mid-card title run. I was just like, what are we doing?
I absolutely agree. I mean, I was so mad that he actually won. I was so mad. Because I was just like, ever since the family broke up, it's just like, where's he been? He has been doing nothing really.
Smooching up with Ariana, that's where.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden,
I think what irritates me the most, how do you continue running with this? It's like, I destroyed the family. I would have been okay with this. Well, okay, I don't want to say I would be okay with this. I would be less mad with him taking it off of Maclin. I was like, oh no, he's been doing shenanigans all this time in NXT, so it makes sense. He's still that underling mob boss. He get his hands dirty to win by any means necessary. Down. But that is not what happened, because when the family broke up, he was feuding with, Luca Crucifino. Tony D went away for and he just recently came back after months. But Stacks has nowhere been found. And when we see him next, it's now his character is, he is the fiance / boyfriend / dating Ariana Grace, aka Santino Marella's actual daughter. And I'm just like, ew, I hate this for both of them. I hate this for everyone involved.
Yeah. Because what's so sad about it is the way Ariana Gray, the way she's acting now. It's
Oh,
like
she's
completely
weird.
changed. I'm like, what are you doing? No, your beauty pageant character was brilliant.
It was stupid, but it was good.
It was, and now you're becoming the mob boss's like dame. I mean, it's like,
I was like, what in the B grade of Godfather is this?
oh, it's
like,
so gross. When they were all on each other, I was like, what the hell is
I was
this?
like, listen, I know y'all are actual couple in real
Right.
life, and I love is love, right? We want love to succeed.
Mhm.
But let's learn from Trick and Lash when they tried that, because it
Oh
did
my
not work
God.
with Trick and Lash.
No.
And then they got smart and decided not to do that. And then we can genuinely enjoy, like, you know, the moments where we actually got to see like home video of Trick proposing to Lash over Thanksgiving break. I was just like, that's what we want to see. We love our couples, and we don't need to see it on screen. I mean,
no.
I was just like, there's no need to bleed your characters and your actual real life relationships, because then if you break up, it gets messy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But then on the flip side, I feel like a hypocrite, because I was like, married couples, though, I'm here for. But that's because y'all got tied the knot and y'all locked it down. So I was like, married couples I get behind because y'all already locked it down. But
and
like,
normally they're in completely different companies.
Exactly.
Like completely different companies.
Well, take Steve Macklin and Deanna. Deanna's in Ring of Honor and AEW, and Steve Macklin is here in TNA. I mean, they also have a podcast together, which is kind of great to watch. I love them. And shout out to Mrs. Deanna Perazzo for getting that master's degree. We love an educated queen.
I saw that. You go, girl.
So I love her. And shout out to Deanna as well. I know it's not TNA, but she is the first ever women's pure championship in Ring of Honor, which is great, and we love that for her. But yeah, this match, you're probably gonna hate me for saying this. I think I would have been more okay with it, but I would have been less frustrated, because you know who has been running around TNA with the rest of the Goon Squad here the last couple of weeks, that I was just like, as annoying as he is, I feel like could actually be better choice than Stacks. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I would have been less frustrated if Lexus King were the one to be holding it for a little bit. I was like, he's a dork, and his character's sunk, but at least he has done more than Stacks.
Yeah, and I totally agree. And you know, even though, but yeah, I mean, Lexus King, even though gross, but that's okay though. I would be okay with him holding that title because he is gross, and he would actually make it a sort of like, we got to get that away from him.
Right, like, I would be like, oh, absolutely not. Get it off this man right now. And but I would be invested. I don't care that Stacks is international champion. I really don't. I was just like, you're just holding this title. And I was like, I wonder for how long though, because, and this is my issue, right? This is my issue, right? I love the NXT kids popping up in TNA, but you have to pick the right one. As sad as I was to see Kalani's reign come to a very short end, I wasn't mad with her holding the title. I mean, granted, I wish she had better matches against some of the TNA folks, but you know what? It made sense. They had to swerve really quickly because Ash had to vacate it. And, you know, they did the best they could. And Kalani, I thought, was a really fun TNA World Champion. It made sense to me. Stacks makes absolutely no lick of sense. So I'm just like, whatever.
I mean, unless that he won it so that Lexus King could win it later.
Now, see, if we did that, then I'd be like, okay, TNA, NXT, I'd be okay with that.
Because, I mean, that would make total sense. I mean, Lexus King stabbing Stacks in the back, duh.
I was like, duh, he's out for himself, me, myself, and I, which would be great.
Yeah.
So, do I think it's going to happen? No. But you know what? No. You do that, I'd be like, okay, I will eat crow if that happens. But
yeah, I'd be here for it.
Yeah, the match itself was fine. Again, shenanigans were happening. And so Stacks is your new TNA International Champion. I'm like, somebody had to win. And unfortunately, it was Stacks.
Yep.
We keep this train rolling, though, because next in the middle of the card, we have our TNA World Knockout Championship. I was like giving one of these. I was just like, you know what? It wasn't the craziest match I've ever seen, but you know what? this was actually really, really solid. And I was just like, Liang Li out here and Zaya Brookside, besties fighting for this title. I was just like, they actually both wanted it. Because here's my issue when we get like best friends face versus face matches. Half the time it's like, oh, I don't want to fight you. I'm like, bitch, this is for a title. I was like, listen. So, for example, if me and you were fighting for a championship, if you were champion, we're besties in real life. But at the same time, I was like, this is for
a championship belt. Yeah, it's
like 50 minutes. We can be friends and kumbaya and go to Waffle House or IHOP afterwards, and we can kiki all we want. This for a title. I was like Mario Party. You check your friendship at the door, and you do what you can to win this.
That's right. That's absolutely correct.
And I think that's why I really like this match too, because it's like they're besties and they didn't really play. It's like, oh, I don't want to hurt you. It's like, nah, this is for a title. We gotta do what we call it. Liang Li needs to do whatever she can to retain, and Zaya Brookside wants this badly, so she's got to do what she can to win it. And I was like, thank God y'all do not lean into the, oh, you're my friend, I don't want to fight you. I'm like, bitch, this for a title. Why are we here if you are not trying to get this thing?
Yep. I know. It was like, girl, after this match, we'll go get burgers. But right now, I got to whoop your ass.
This was solid through and through.
It was.
I really love Zaya. I know she's still on the fairly young side, but I think, working with, somebody like Liang Li has been great for her. And this was a solid showing from both of them. And then, of course, spoiler alert, Liang Li retains the championship. This was a solid bout between the two of them.
Hello, Nick.
Hello, Nicholas.
The thing about Zaya that I love is that she's been getting a lot of opportunities, which I am here for because I love her as a wrestler. And I really think,
sorry.
Yes, indeed. All hell Vecna. No, I really love that she has kind of been coming into her own. Like we've been seeing a lot of her lately, which is really great. Even if it's just in like, a grouping, she's there, and I love, no, I did not. And I remember, but yeah, no, I love her. And I think that, and this match between the two of them, I agree with you. I'm glad they didn't do the whole, oh, we're besties, let's not do too much to each other. No, they were like, title's on the line, bitch. Let's get in it. It's like here, hold my earrings because I'm about to whoop your ass.
Right. And I think what I also love too was after the match, like I said, Liang Li retains, Zaya and Li have sign of respect. They'd be loving on each other. Danny Luna comes out like a bat out of hell and destroys the both of them, which I was like, Danny's also been kind of circling around. Indy comes out for the save. And I'm going to say this here because I don't want to wait. Because of how the main event went and who ended up winning, I don't know if it's at Genesis. I don't know if it's down the line, but I am ready for this Liang Li Danny Luna matchup. I was like, oh my God. Right. Danny beat Indy in that dog collar match last night. And by the way, she bled. And I was just like, Danny, you are my girl. I love you. And so I'm like, I don't know if it's at Genesis. I would love for it to be at Genesis because then you get to see that live. But yeah, it seems, honestly, I think Danny Luna is the next one up to challenge.
Yeah,
and I was like, that match is going to be good. But again, this was really, really great. This is a really solid defense from Liang Li. And you know what? If Danny is the next challenger up for Liang Li, I cannot wait. But yeah, this was a solid match. It set up another contender afterwards with Danny Luna, attacking Liang Li. And then it also led into the dog collar match with Indy coming out for the save. And I was just like, see, we can do stuff in rivalries that don't involve the championship.
Right.
That dog collar match was crazy. It wasn't anything. It wasn't like it wasn't a 5-star classic, but I was like, oh God. I was like, Indy, I'm kind of here for you being a little bit more brutal.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Hey, can I pause for a second and give a shout out to Nick? I went and watched his podcast today.
Yes.
It
Him
was
and his
really
wife are
good.
great.
It was really good. Oh yeah, they were. It was fantastic. I sat there and watched the whole thing, and yeah. But anyway,
Yeah, shout out to Nick. He is one of our friendos. Him and Nikki are great. Y'all go check out the Nick Happy Hour Wrestling Podcast because Nick and Nikki do amazing work. And they are our friends. They are our longest standing podcast friends, so I'm excited. Yeah. No, I will never comment down. Also, it is very chilly out here because if I took this off, the headlights would be showing. Let's just leave it at that. And then, of course, thanks, Will. Pleasure having you.
yeah. No, we're always super sexy on this show.
I mean, across all the shows, I am. You know me. It's usually tank top season. If you lose this predictions league, we're making you wear a V-neck. I'm just kidding. No, you're in the lead. So I was just like, it is. Your cold is not cold. Shut up.
That's true.
That is very true. I'm not gonna lie. Hashtag fake cold. You found me out, you guys. I'm sorry. No, but you're right. Absolutely right, Nick. But hey, you know what? Even a fat boy gets cold once in a while. Also, I'm also trying not to get sick because I still got a week left to teach, and then I'm on break for 2 weeks. So I'm not trying to get sick right now. So
fair.
But let's carry on though, because after all of this, match of the night.
Oh my God.
Down.
Okay, I have to say right out the bat, TNA needs to freaking sign the Rascals on right now.
Lock these four down. Lock these four to contracts right now. Oh man.
My God.
Or Sting's AEW's winner coming. Listen. No. Anywho. But no, match of the night. Absolutely.
Yep.
There's no, I mean, Papa, like, we love the Rascals. Now that all four of them are together, they are great. But I have to give some shout out to Order 4 because they also brought this match too.
I did.
And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Agent Zero, man, I was just like, yo, this is crazy. I was just like, TNA is being smart of how they're using him because I was like, oh my God, he's really fantastic. And it's the same thing I said when it was Order 4 versus, the System at Bound for Glory. I was like, wow, Agent Zero is kind of just running all the stuff. But the Great Hands, man, I was like, I didn't know y'all had moves like that. I was like, where has this been? But no, Rascals for the win, like, spoiler alert. Once again, Myron Reed, my MVP, like when he did the flame on, which is like the jumping over the top row to deliver like a cutter into everybody waiting down. Like, oh my God. And you know what? I think the reason I love the Rascals now, all four of them are here, is because this match showcased what if you're going to have like a 4-person faction. It's not just like, oh, everybody's in here, they're together as a group, but they all four of them worked in tandem. They did team ups, they did 4-person moves. Like, this was a team. What is yeah, who is Order 4 exactly? Yes, this is the group that Ali is in and is in charge of. Speaking of Ali, shout out to Ali for taking it where Elijah came out and hogtied him and rode off with Ali tied to a horse. That was dumb, but it was camp and I was here for it. But no, this was my match of the night. And I think that's because I was like, I could not blink because every time I blinked, there was like 50,000 different. This match was on like 5 times speed. And that was partially due to the Rascals running and jumping everywhere. So good.
It was so nice to see the Rascals be the Rascals.
I was like, more of this, please.
Mm-hmm. I want this all the time.
Yeah, and it made it so much sweeter that, of course, they won. Trash order? Possibly.
Absolutely.
We just need to change the dimension for them because we've been going with this presidential gimmick for a while now for Ali anymore. And Order 4. We need to change the dynamic for everyone. Yeah. And surprised that Tasha didn't run interference in this match, but hey, you know what? It is what it is. So, anywho, yeah, this match ruled because of the Rascals. Order 4 actually did the darn thing too. This was fantastic. which is saying a lot because at this point I was like, we still have a couple matches left, and I will say this now: this still ended up being my favorite match of the card.
Yep.
Not to say that the next matches were bad; it's just that I love this. No, and that's kind of what we've been talking about. Even since NXT, Ali has been doing the presidential gimmick, and I feel like we need to add another dimension. Earlier this year, it worked because we did get that dimension when he was playing up against Mike Santana's sobriety, but it was done right. And that was a fantastic feud. And then after that, it kind of just went downhill. Same thing like we talked about with the TNA Knockout division. We started great this year, and then it went downhill after Rebellion.
Yeah, because then he started doing the I'm Psycho.
Which I thought, ooh, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And then it kind of just stopped.
Then it went, it stopped. It went away.
I was like, huh? Anyways, shout out to Trey, Zach, Myron, and Dez. Love all four of you. You're great.
I still go back and watch
That's
Treehouse segment. Oh my God. It cracks me up every single time I watch it.
Gosh, it's so good. And it's better with all four of them. Like, it's so fun. Anyways, we got to keep going, though, because we do have a rest of the show to talk about. So let's move on to our next match. Bus stop. Love it. So you know what? I did not hate this match. And I think out of all the NXT folks, I mean, because I'm biased, because, Tyson and Tyreek were with, Dez, aka formerly known as Wesley in NXT. I'm here for them. But I also feel like I kind of think we need more big powerhouse tag teams in NXT, and across any of these promotions. But to me, they hold a special place in my heart because it's like, yes, Black excellence, let's go. And again, I didn't hate this because I feel like this is what I feel like the Hardys have been missing. Like the Hardys have been going against, more younger talent. And again, they went up against Darkstay for a good chunk of the fall, which was like, okay. But this year, they really never had to go up against like true big powerhouse like tag teams. And I feel like Tyson and Tyreek did the whole thing. So,
I also think that, for the most part, the Hardys go up against people their own size. This is the first time that I can recall that they've gone up against opponents that were twice their size. I mean, because I can't think of another time that can you? I mean, I really can't. I was like,
at least not this year, anyways,
yeah,
or even ever since becoming, TNA tag champs.
So this was refreshing, actually. Because in this match, I felt that the Hardys were actually challenged. Because Tyson and Tyreek are just brick shithouses, man. They are just
massive.
Boom. I mean, it's like hitting a brick wall, man.
Jeez Louise. And again, I feel like this was perfect too, because it got to showcase everyone. It didn't go on too long. Of course, Tyson and Tyreek are still learning the ropes in wrestling, but this is a great showing. Of course, the Hardys retained, but you know what? This was a really fun match. Now, I really want to talk about, though, what happened afterwards, because, hey, Will, have you heard the good news? The Righteous are here. That whole intro video is fantastic. I was like, yes, Flower Power Cult, let's go. Again, the Righteous are a team that I am very familiar with, both in AEW, Ring of Honor, on the Independents. We love Vincent and Dutch. One of our other hosts, Jesse, is a big fan of them, and they are so sweet individuals. Every time we get a chance to talk to them via messages and stuff like that. And again, it's one of those things. It's like they've been working their butts off, and to see them here in TNA is great. And the fact that they are probably going to fight the Hardys at Genesis makes me excited. And I'm not saying the Hardys need to lose these titles, but I'm just saying, if y'all want to legitimize the Righteous, like, wouldn't be mad at either option, to be honest. But I will say, though, of course, for you, Will, you would need to see the Righteous in action in order to determine that. But, and again, I mean, I'm biased. We love them, but I also understand. I was just like, if I like them, that doesn't mean everyone is going to. But I think in TNA, yeah.
If they fight at Genesis, I'll see them.
That's very, very true. So, but yeah, I'm excited for the Righteous. BC WrestlePod is a big fan of those boys of Vincent and Dutch. We love them. It's great. But yeah, this match was fun. It was fantastic, and this was also one of the matches I really enjoyed for a multitude of different reasons. Yeah. God, I'm never gonna get tired of this entrance. It's so good. It's not super over the top, but I was just like, hey, listen, Occam's razor states that sometimes the best solution is always the simplest. So, so good. AJ Francis irritates me as a character, but hot damn, this was a pretty good match too. Also, Rich Homie Swan turning on AJ, I was just like, yes, Rich Homie Swan, let's go. He's tired of AJ's bullshit.
We knew it was going to happen.
Oh, absolutely. But you know what? Shout out to AJ and Leon, because this was also another match I really enjoyed because Leon, again, we know Leon from running around, jumping off everything, jumping on everything. It's great. But again, Leon has to be strategic because, again, AJ will just choke slam him, and like toss him, like throw him like a rag doll. So it was really fun to see Leon have to kind of deal with that. And again, AJ's character annoys the hell out of me, but I was just like, you know what, AJ, you did your thing in this match too. This was a really solid match. I was like, Leon Slater's having a really fun run.
Yep, it was pretty decent. And I mean, I hate AJ Francis, but I thought it was pretty good. I actually really enjoyed the match. I didn't hate him as much in this one as I normally do. So good for you, man.
And again, Rich Homie Swan, tired of AJ's crap, hits AJ, which would allow Leon to hit the finisher for the win. I'm just like, everything is right in the world. Leon's going to be a busy boy because he and Javon are teaming up to fight AJ Styles and Dragon Lee tomorrow night for the WWE Tag Team title. So I was like, think they would put the tag titles on Leon, a WWE title, but I'm just saying, I'm not mad if you do, but like, Leon's gonna be a busy boy. But yeah, Leon Slater retains the X Division Championship. Fantastic match. Alrighty, let's get into this because there's a lot to discuss. Did I like this on paper when it got announced? No. Did I actually like the match? You know what? Surprisingly, yes. I'm like, JDC, this is what I needed to see from you all the time. And I knew you had it. Like when you and Mike Santana had that street fight and y'all were bloodied and bruised, I was like, oh, yes, this is great. And Franklin, I hate your character. But again, I will never knock you for your in-ring record because your in-ring is fantastic. Again, not my favorite match, but you know what? This was still a very solid one. And I was actually really, really happy with a lot of the close and near falls and false finishes. I was like, oh, that was so close. They made me start rooting for JDC. I'm like, damn it, TNA, I know he's not going to win, but why are you making me root for this man? Like, you're making me believe. How dare you? But again, this was a solid battle. Nothing to write home about, but I was like, you know what? This was a lot better than I thought it was going to be.
It wasn't horrible. Which I hate the fact that I just said that, but it wasn't horrible. So, I mean, it's Frankie Kazarian just really gets on my nerves. And the fact that they gave him this freaking title drives me insane.
It irritates your soul.
It does. It makes me it makes me so angry. Because I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? And of course, it has just made him worse. So now I'm ready for someone to take this title away from him, like now.
You're just like, please. And so Franklin wins, right? The NXT crew comes out to attack, and then TNA comes out as the show ends with everybody brawling, right? So speaking of wanting somebody to take the title off of Franklin, right? So I want to briefly discuss last night's episode of TNA because it is setting things up leading to Genesis. So after, not to go into the whole show bit by bit, because we just focus on pay-per-views when it's pay-per-view time, but we do have 2 official matches made for Genesis, of course. It is going to be Franklin versus Mike Santana for Mike, and Mike Santana is calling a rematch at Genesis for that TNA World Championship. So I'm just like, this is going to go either one of 2 ways, and I'm either going to get a happy text or I'm going to get a very angry text from Will. Because, spoiler alert, I will be doing a watch along for Genesis as this is happening. So we are going to be texting, and like, I'm either going to get a happy text or I'm going to get a very explicit text from Will over here, which I'm here for it either way, because I want him to be happy. But also, I love it when he gets spicy. But no, if Mike loses, I think we're going to have the riot act happen. And I was just like, get ready, because I'm about to write a strongly worded email to TNA. Because I don't want to fight this company, because all those wrestlers can beat me up. And though I might want them to. we don't kink shame here. But the other match that we have made is JDC's retirement match is going to be JDC versus the man, like, off screen. These 2 have known each other forever. It's going to be JDC versus Edwards. Like, Eddie Edwards is going to retire JDC from in-ring competition. I was just like,
that's kind of cool.
That's what I'm saying. They've been friends forever. So again, there's lots of retirements happening in this weekend. Well, in the next couple of weeks, like John Cena's retiring tomorrow night. JDC's retiring at Genesis. In New Japan, like the legend Hiroshi Tanahashi is also retiring at the beginning of January after Wrestle Kingdom 20. So I'm just like, lots of retirements is happening, and it's crazy that in this day and age, at least the people that we've been seeing, I was like, oh man, this is great. But I am excited for JDC versus Edwards, because again, it's kind of nice to have your best, like one of your friends, like give you your retirement match, which is a lot of fun.
That's cool.
So, and then while not official, we started to tease some stuff. I mean, Cedric Alexander won a 6-man like battle royale type of match, and he gets a shot at Leon Slater's X Division Championship. I was like, okay, sign me up. Cedric versus Leon Part 2. I really enjoyed their match at Emergence. Was one of the highlights of that pay-per-view, because we all know that Emergence was not great.
No.
And so we also got a promo between the Righteous and the Hardys, so we might be setting up Hardys and Righteous at Genesis as well. And then again, Danny Luna and Indy Hartwell main eventing the show last night. Danny coming out victorious in the dog collar match. Would not be surprised if it's her versus Liang Li at Genesis, which I would be cool with. So lots of stuff coming up. And then next week is going to be nuts, because we have a 5-on-5 cage match between TNA and NXT. So we had the advantage match in which Lexis King won it against Matt Cardona after cheating. And so then Matt got attacked by the NXT folks. So this is how it pans out. So NXT is going to be Lexis King, Stax, Brooke Jensen, and then Tyreek and Tyson. So those 5. Versus Steve Macklin, Mike Santana, the Hardys, and then taking Matt's place is Santino, of all people.
Because he got knocked out.
Yeah, and so I was just like, Ariana was not having it when her dad announced that he was going to be in the cage match. She's like, oh God, what am I about to do? She is caught between her dad and her fiance, boyfriend, whatever, boy toy, whatever you want to call it. So I'm just like, oh man, next week's going to be crazy. But yeah, so we're slowly setting up for Genesis. I'm so happy that Will gets to be there live. I'm just waiting to see if they're going to bring Rebellion back to Los Angeles, because this is the second year they're bringing Genesis back to Dallas in the same place. So I'm like, please let Rebellion come back to Los Angeles in April. But you know what? If they decide not to, I was like, you know what? The rest of the states needs TNA love too. I was very blessed with how much wrestling I got to see this year from the companies. And I get to go back at AEW in March, but that's a whole different podcast. But yeah, overall, while I did have some issues with Final Resolution, this was this was better than Deadline, unfortunately, because usually I love the NXT pay-per-views, but Deadline outside of the women's Iron Survivor and then Ethan versus Mr. Iguana, everything was okay to why. So
Yep.
but that's going to be, so that's it for us here at Six Sided Scholars. We still got two more things happening this weekend. Tomorrow night, Kilt and I will be here to do a live watch along for WWE Saturday night's main event, where we will be witnessing the final match and the retirement match for John Cena. And then on the opposite end of the wrestling spectrum, Sunday at 5 p.m. Pacific, myself, Benny, and Andrew are doing a live watch along for GCW's Nick Gage Invitational 9. And there will be blood, barbed wire, light tubes. It's a gory mess. And we're sick freaks, and we love it. But again, also keep in your calendars for those of you watching home, Sunday, December 21st is our end of the year podcast, where all of us are going to get together and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of wrestling. We're going to talk about our wrestlers of the year, our ones to watch, our favorite matches, our favorite pay-per-views, and our pay-per-views we hated. So again, you're going to want to tune in. It's going to be a good old time. I enjoyed this one because it's a chaotic show, and it's going to be a fantastic time. But me and Papa got to get up on out of here. So thank you so much for tuning in to our Final Resolution review. The next time we will be back with a TNA pay-per-view review will be at the end of January, as we will be reviewing TNA Genesis. But fret not, we will be back next Friday to review another episode of TNA Television. And this is our final review of 2025, as we will be taking the next 2 weeks after next week off for the holidays. So until then, from all of us here at BC WrestlePod to you at home, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. We'll catch you tomorrow, me and Kilt will, for Saturday night's main event. But until then, sayonara, adios, and until next time, peace.